Welcome to week 15 of On Top of the Cage.
Put some shoes on.
We got some executive producer problems here. My 12-year-old, as you know, produces
fired.
this show. He's fired. No, he's going to be out here. He flips the screen a couple times, whatever he does. In any event, as you can see from the backdrop here, we got a little bit of snow today. We have more ambiance on the scene than normal on the cage here. So in any event, I guess we'll start with what's become our weekly installment.
Columbus Crew, baby!
For the Columbus Crew, yes. Tell us what happened, Dan.
Fantastic win. I was nervous going into that game because by far the best player on the team, Darlington Nagbe, had got the vid, man. He was out. And then Pedro Santos, he didn't play either because, I don't know, they must have been too close. They must share a locker or something. So I was really nervous, but, man, we throttled Seattle. It did not look like they were ready to play at all. And the $1 Million Man, Zelarayan, he stepped up, man. He played good game, and the Crew came out victorious. I was shocked. That was a beatdown.
Dan's very happy. They went into that match or game as significant underdogs, largely because Nagbe was out. Obviously, the Seattle Sounders are a proven, soccer club. But, yeah, they had control of that game from the outset.
Oh, right from the beginning. It was great.
I'll
game.
tell you what, that kid, the 19-year-old kid who stepped in the Nagbe spot was pretty amazing in the midfield.
Yeah, homegrown player. I don't think he was in the exact spot. I think they moved Artur back, but he stepped in and played in the midfield. Homegrown, spent 1 year at Indiana, and then the Crew must have decided they were going to pay him, so he was no longer an amateur.
There was a pretty good college football game going on at the same time. The Florida LSU game was going on. My friends were texting me, "Are you serious? You're watching the Crew?" I was, and then we obviously it ended in enough time to see the shoe throwing and things like that.
Yeah, ridiculous. And I'm glad you brought that up because this college rank, I don't know how Florida is still in the top 10.
I don't know. What is 6?
That's ridiculous. Yeah, 6. Give me a break. 6.
One of my brother-in-laws texted me. He's like, "Seriously, who throws a shoe?" I promptly text back, "Your sister. I've been able to dodge like 3 or 4 of them in my time."
Yeah, and that guy from, what was that movie with Mike Meyer? He's the spy.
I don't do
movies.
movies.
What am I thinking of?
I don't have it.
Oh, come on. It's going to come to me by the end of the day. I can see his...
All right, we got another 30, 40 minutes to go for Dan to capture this in his mind.
I'm going to be thinking about that the whole time. I can't think of that damn movie. Guy from Saturday Night Live. He was the spy.
Mike Myers?
That's the actor's name. I can't think of the movie.
You got 40 minutes. We're done with that segment.
Oh, God, I can totally see it.
Speaking of that, we obviously have a good slate of professional football. It's a great weekend of college football as well. Conference championship week. We will not only be doing the full NFL slate, we'll also do 3 college football games. The Big Ten Championship, which is at noon. The ACC Championship at 4. And the SEC Championship at 8. Are you going to be over here for the Notre Dame ACC Championship at 4 p.m.?
We have to talk about the menu.
We do have to talk about the menu. Are we going to do a theme thing, or are we going to, we're going to get the commercial griddle here right behind set. We'll put all kinds of great things on there. We could do a theme thing like Reuben's that we talked about, or we could do all kinds of stuff, brats and, sausages or
I don't know, maybe
Phillies.
We should make Irish stew because of the weather.
Irish stew? I don't know about that. I'm going to stick with the good stuff on the griddle. All right.
Wait, we're not going to do the Pac-12 game?
It's
Friday night?
It's on Friday. They're out. I mean, the only 3
Washington
conferences
can't play, so that crappy Oregon team gets to play.
Yeah, that's right. The only 3 conferences that really matter for the college football playoff is the Big Ten, the ACC, and the SEC. In my mind, at least, I can't imagine anybody else
Cincinnati,
climbing the ladder.
Coastal Carolina should be in there.
It's not going to happen. All right.
Both of them should be higher than Florida.
All right. Let's do the beer review before we do last week and again in the slate. The beer review this week comes from the Abita Brewing Company. We've actually got a larger, group of people watching. They're actually from just north of Louisiana. It is called Christmas Ale. I can't read all the writing. I know it's 5.8% by alcohol. I do like the bottle presentation with Santa in his sleigh. It looks like on water. There's no reindeer. There's gators pulling it. So I'm not sure if this is twist off or not. It is not. It doesn't feel that way. There we go.
Ooh.
That's a strong Christmas ale. I mean, not by alcohol content. 5.8 isn't, but it's good. It's a Christmas ale.
Kind of smelled like an IPA when I took a whiff. Yeah, that's not bad.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
This might have made it into the top 3.
3? We'll do those rankings.
Maybe 4. Those 2 Archers were probably 2 and 3.
I'll tell you what. I got a doozy. Next week will be our Christmas edition of On Top the Cage. I think it gets shot on December 23 is Wednesday. So yes, I got a doozy of a beer review. So make sure you tune in next week. I'm not sure what Dan will think about it. I haven't told him yet, and I won't until we get on set.
Fantastic. He's going to try and poison me.
All right. Last week, Dan went 8-8. I went 7-9. On the year, Dan is +5. I am -8. It's been a struggle. I'm sure I'll complain about a couple of games and things that happened last week as the reason why I ended up wearing the horns again, or the antlers, the holiday antler horns again. So I will sport them. Unfortunately, Dan said I'm stapling my head. I hope not. So. In any event, all right, that's all the housekeeping, I believe, for the week. This weekend in the National Football League, it's kind of a disjointed schedule, but not because of COVID.
Not yet.
Not yet, right. We have a Thursday game, but we have 2 Saturday games, a 4 o'clock and an 8 o'clock game on Saturday, going right up against the Conference Championship college football games.
Dumb.
And then the Sunday games, the Sunday Night Football game and Monday Night Football game. So let's go ahead and get started with the Thursday night offering, which is the Los Angeles Chargers, who are 4-9. They stay in town and play the Los Angeles Raiders at 7-6. Do they play in the same stadium?
It's the Vegas Raiders.
That's right. The Vegas Raiders. Man. I always do that. I struggle with that. The Raiders are -3.5. The Chargers are a 4-9 football team. The Raiders are 7-6. Last week, the Chargers won against Atlanta. They got the turnover late from Matt Ryan. Ended up winning a game. We had referred to the game last week as the Battle of Blown Lead Supremacy. Yeah. Atlanta blew it at the end with Matt Ryan throwing the interception.
Matty Ice comes through again.
Speaking of Thursday football game, what happened to Color Rush? The uniforms. I would love to see all black versus all powder blue. I don't know what happened to Color Rush.
That would be cool.
So the Raiders, they lost to Indianapolis.
Can you imagine the Raiders with a black helmet?
Straight black, yeah.
That would be sick.
It would be good.
Black, that would be cool.
I don't know what happened to Color Rush. I know at the beginning there was issues with colorblind people and things like that, but I thought they fixed that. I don't know. But that certainly hasn't, reared its head this year at all. The Raiders, they lost to Indianapolis last week. Their defense was horrific again. They ended up firing their defensive coordinator.
Shocking. That's one of his buddies.
Ruggs has COVID. I mean, the Chargers are out of it. It's next year for them. The Raiders, they're still not dead at 7-6 by any means. They're -3.5. The Raiders have something to play for, and the Chargers don't. I'm going to lay the 3.5 with the Raiders.
I agree. I'm going with the Raiders. They got to fix that. And I think they do it this week against the Chargers.
Oh, they're giving up so many points. I think it's going to be a shootout. I like the Raiders, just simply, like I said. They got more to play for. The Buffalo Bills, the first game on Saturday at 4 p.m. They go out to Denver. The Bills are 10-3. The Broncos are 5-8. The Bills are coming off a tremendously impressive performance against the Steelers on Sunday Night Football.
They looked awesome. I mean, they looked like a really, really good team. The Steelers,
yeah, we're going to talk about that in a bit. I mean, I think possibly the Buffalo Bills are the second best football team in the National Football League behind the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, Josh Allen looks like a star to me.
I think they are the second best team. They've replaced the Steelers.
Oh, for sure. And I think I would rank them ahead of the Packers and whoever else is on the NFC side, maybe the Saints, and we'll talk about them and their loss. The Broncos, they played well last week. They won in Carolina. They got the good Drew Lock. No turnovers, 4 touchdown passes. They still have questions with that. The Bills are -6.5 in this game. Go ahead, Dan. Who do you think?
Denver's been playing good. That's a big number. Man. I think the Bills keep rolling. I'm taking them.
So am I. It's hard to pick against them how well they're playing right now. I'm going to lay the 6.5. Maybe if it was 7.5, I might go the other way. I do like Fangio's defense. Obviously, the Broncos played well last week. We'll see if Drew Lock can, string together 2 good performances in a row or not. The 8 o'clock game on Saturday night is the Carolina Panthers, who are 4-9. They go play the Green Bay Packers, who are 10-3. The Pack are installed as 9-point favorites. The over-under on this game is 51.5. As we just mentioned, the Carolina Panthers lost at home to Denver last week. The defense kind of failed them. Drew Lock kind of had his way. They are losers of 7 straight games.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to them. I'm shocked.
They started out 4-2. Now they're 4-9. The Packers, they won in Detroit last week. They are now the top seed in NFC after the Saints lost in Philly. The offense just continues to cruise and roll. The defense kind of plays well enough for them to win. Packers are -9.
McCaffrey's playing?
I don't think McCaffrey is playing. There's been talk about him playing. I think Matt Rule ruled him out this week again. The Packers are -9. I'm going to lay the Packers at -9.
This one's tough. I think Mike Pettin might be on the hot seat.
Defensive coordinator for the Packers?
Because their defense doesn't look good to me at all.
The Packers,
they're struggling.
The Packers put up 35 points a game and things like this, but meanwhile they give up like 28 points a game.
Right.
They haven't covered a lot of numbers. They didn't cover the spread last week in Detroit, giving up a late score to them. One of Dan and I, both of our losses. But I'm going to lay it with the Packers at -9.
I'm taking the Panthers on this one. That's a big number for me with Pettin in that defense.
Fair enough. Sunday night or the Sunday day games, the 1 p.m. Slot. The first game we're going to talk about is the San Francisco 49ers. They're 5-8. They go to play the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are 4-9. The line on this game is the 49ers -3. The 49ers lost to Washington last week. Washington's defense was tremendous. They completely throttled them, shut them down. I mean, we've talked week in, week out about the accumulation of injuries for the 49ers. The Cowboys, they won in Cincinnati last week. Andy Dalton's return.
Yeah.
The defense, I mean, they got 3 turnovers early in that game. It wasn't in question that they won the game running away. 49ers are -3. I've taken the lead on the first few games. Who do you think, Dan?
49ers.
I don't. I like the Cowboys. They're still in this. I'm not. It's hard to play the Cowboys, but they're still not out of that NFC East. They have something to play for. The 49ers do not. It's next year for the 49ers, and they're a talented roster, and I expect them to bounce back when they get their players back. But I like the idea that the Cowboys still have something to play for. I'm going to take the 3 points with the Cowboys. All right, the Seattle Seahawks are 9-4. They go to play the Washington football team, which is an intriguingly good game if you ask me. The Washington football team is in first place in the NFC East. They are 6-7. The Seahawks come off an absolute drubbing of the Jets, which happens week in, week out. So, I mean, take that for what it is. Offense is on track, but everybody's offense is on track, against the Jets. They had struggled for a while, but the intrigue with this game is the Washington football team. Winners of 4 in a row, by the way, and their defense.
Yeah, their defense is killing it.
I mean, Chase Young is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about him a week or so, or maybe the last couple of weeks. They do really well with their Ohio State draftees because Terry McLaurin went over 1,000 yards for the year receiving last week. But there's a question also of Washington's quarterback situation.
I was just going to say, yeah.
I mean,
when I flipped it on, I saw Haskins in there. I was like, wait, what happened?
It was an injury. I don't know how severe it is.
They were had a thing on his leg, and I'm like, oh my God.
The Washington football team says it's not that severe. We still haven't been declared a starter, whether or not it's Alex Smith or if it's Dwayne Haskins. Haskins didn't play that bad in relief last week. I keep going back to this game, or back to last week when Seattle lost to the Giants at home, and the Giants defense just throttled them and smothered them. Is the Washington defense going to be able to do that to them at home? The line, by the way, is that the Seahawks -5.5. I struggle with this. There's a lot of offensive firepower on the Seahawks team. I think the Washington defense is better than the Giant defense, but
I agree with that.
But I have a hard time not laying the 5.5 with the Seahawks.
I'm taking Washington.
I'm going to lay the 5.5 with the Seahawks. Maybe it's a good game. I'd love to see it be a good game outside of the fact that I might be wearing these again, which I don't want to do.
We're stapling them to your head.
That's not going to happen. Next week, we got a couple of games different already, if not 3. So Dan's on Washington. I'm going to lay the 5.5 with the Seattle Seahawks just because of their proven offense. Next game up on the board is an elimination game. The Chicago Football Bears, my team, 6-7. They go Northwest and play the Minnesota Vikings, who have the identical record of 6-7. The Bears are coming off an absolute beatdown of the Texans. They had control of the game from the outset.
Wait, who picked the Bears last week?
You did pick the Bears.
I bailed on your team, man.
I didn't bail on the team.
Bailed.
I
no faith.
I don't only pay attention to the Bears on Sunday. I pay attention to them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I didn't like what I was hearing coming out of Hallis Hall last week, but meanwhile, I mean, what happened with the Bears' first play from Sherman's got an 80-yard run from David Montgomery. He was barely touched. They had a lead. There was, it just snowballed from there. The defense played much better. The Vikings are coming off a loss in.
Is that kicker still employed?
Yes. I was going to say.
Bears! I'm taking the Bears!
I hope so for the Bears' sake that he's still employed.
Holy hell.
Dan's referencing Minnesota's loss in Tampa Bay where Dalvin Cook ran the ball really well against them, and they got in the red zone repeatedly, and their field goal kicker blew it repeatedly. He missed 3. He had 4 kicks on the day. 3 of them were field goals. One of them was an extra point.
The cannon fire in that pirate ship.
He missed all of them.
He pissed his pants.
He accounted for -10 for their team. I don't know if they left him on the tarmac when they were headed back home, but I wouldn't have wanted to be. If I was Dan Bailey, I don't want to be on that plane right now. But this is an elimination game. The Bears last week, Trubisky looked great. He outplayed Deshaun Watson in that, that very much talked about draft class with him, Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. He by far outplayed Deshaun Watson, even though Watson doesn't have a lot around him. I know Trubisky was tantalizing, I guess is the best word to say last week for the Bears, because he looked fantastic. I think this game comes down to whether
a field goal.
Probably. The Vikings are speaking of that, the Vikings are favored by 3. They're -3. It comes down to me whether or not Akeem Hicks can stuff that middle against Cook and make him run outside, where the Bears have a pretty good set of linebackers in Roquan Smith, who's a budding superstar, if you ask me, and Danny Trevathan. Dan, you go first.
Bears.
Me too. I think they win this game outright. I like what I'm hearing out of House all day. They're only 1 game back, and we'll talk about it. If Arizona loses their game, they host Philadelphia this week, and the Bears beat Minnesota. They take claim to that 7th playoff spot, so you can hear probably the excitement in my voice. After that 5-1 start, and I thought the season was over, I mean, we got 2 weeks after this one, and the Bears are still alive. So I hope that they're alive next week when we talk about this, as this is clearly an elimination game. All right, next game up is the New England Patriots. They're 6-7. They go to play down the Miami Dolphins, down south to play the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are 8-5. The Dolphins are 3-point favorites in this game. The Patriots, they were an absolute mess last week on Thursday Night Football in LA against the Rams.
They're hard to watch.
They are. They can't throw the ball, for one thing. I think it was an easy pick last week, and Dan and I both loved that game, and we were both on the Rams. They run the ball up the middle. You're not going to run the ball up the middle on the Rams with Aaron Donald there. In any event, so they were left with running the ball outside, but they don't have enough firepower. But here's the other thing. Bill Belichick has a tendency to really scheme against rookie quarterbacks who haven't seen a lot. So I think there's an issue with that. The Dolphins, they lost to Kansas City last week. They came out great. They were up 10-0. Problem was they gave up the next 30 points.
Yeah.
They were down 30-10. Then they made a comeback. That's another game that we both lost after, the Kansas City Chiefs were up by 3 scores. I think they ended up winning the game by 6, if I'm not mistaken. Tua played pretty well in the game. The Finns have so much to play for. They're 8-5 right now. I mean, I thought I thought for sure a few weeks ago that they were going to be in the playoffs. They don't have the schedule that some of these other AFC teams who are fighting for the wild card spot have. Like they have a difficult schedule going forward, namely going to play the Buffalo Bills week 17. So they're competing with that. They have to win this game. I like them at -3. I'm on the Finns.
I'm on the Finns too. Patriots don't play well in Miami anyways. That's proven fact.
What, too much? Hope it's like 85 degrees there if they get a warm day and it melts the Patriots and things like that, because that stuff's real. I mean, I don't know if Cam got pulled last week, like partway through. I mean, that team's a mess. I don't know if Jared Stidham plays or Cam plays. I think Cam's going to play, but we'll see how it shakes. But we're both on the Finns -3. All right, the Jacksonville Jaguars are 1-12. They go to play the Baltimore Ravens. Speaking of teams in the wild card with softer schedules, that would be, what do you call the Baltimore Ravens?
Ratbirds.
The Ratbirds are 13.5-point favorites in this
Suck it,
game.
Ratbirds.
We'll talk about that thriller, that probably the most entertaining football game of the year on Monday night in a minute when the Browns come up on Sunday Night Football.
The
But
most entertaining thing was watching Lamar Jackson run to the bathroom because he's shit his pants.
we're gonna talk a lot about that. We'll probably talk about it in the Browns segment of the game on Sunday Night
We can
Football.
talk about it now. I mean, he shit his pants. You could see him when they showed it walking in or running into the locker room, and as soon as they showed it, every dude knows that I shit my pants. Look,
I'm not convinced.
I gotta go. His ass cheeks were tight. He shit his pants. Come on.
I don't know about all that. I saw Joe Paterno do that one time at Ohio Stadium.
Yeah.
Go run across the
Yeah.
field while the game was basically going
Yeah,
on.
I remember that.
You remember that one?
Didn't he drop his play card when that happened?
But when you got to go, you got to go.
Hey, everybody's been there,
It is
and
what it
everybody
is.
knows that look. The
Hey.
dude shit his pants. He was in the locker room that long because they had to wash him.
We're going to talk about this in a bit. He says that didn't happen on social media, but we'll see what happens.
Come on.
Well, hold on.
Everybody saw the video.
Back to the game. The Jaguars are 1-12. They won their opening game.
Dude, he came out with a towel.
We're done talking about Lamar
He
Jackson.
came out with a towel covering his ass.
We're not going to
Come on.
talk about.
He's covering up his bacon strip.
We're not going to talk about the excrementation point.
What do you mean? He came out of his ass, I hope.
Excrementation as
Yeah.
opposed to exclamation. Any event. All right, back to this game. The Jags are 1-12. They won their first game of the season. I remember talking about it when it was warm outside. It's not warm anymore. Said, hey, the Jags aren't that bad. They are that bad. They've lost 12 in a
they're
row.
below.
Nothing like being 1-12 and not having the first draft pick. But in any event, the Mike Glennon era lasted 2.5 games in Jacksonville. They're back to Gardner Minshew. The Ravens, and like I said, we're going to talk about that Ravens-Browns game more in the Browns segment. But, I mean, it was Lamar Jackson and his ability to run and things like that. I think that really opened things up for them. They got Mark Andrews involved. Obviously, they have a softer schedule going through. They're back on track. They're a huge favorite, Dan. Are you going to lay the almost 2-touchdown number?
That's huge. Jacksonville sucks, though. That's like insert the Jets there. I mean,
Almost, basically. I'm laying it. I'm going to lay the 13.5.
I think I am too.
All right, we're both
on
on
the Ravens.
We are both on the Ratbirds. I can't believe you call them the Ravens. All right, next game up on the slate, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 8-5. They go travel a little bit up north to play the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are 4-9. The Bucs, we talked about their win over Minnesota. They looked okay. I'm just not impressed by this team whatsoever.
No.
I mean, Dalvin Cook, that game is in question whether or not they win that game if Dan Bailey isn't so atrocious in that game. I mean, they lost the game by, I don't know, 8 or 10 or something like that. And Bailey accounted for 10 points off the board for the Vikings. In any event, the Falcons, they lost in L.A. against the Chargers. Ryan turned the ball over late, doomed them. This line is the Buccaneers -6. I'm undecided. You want to go first?
Buccaneers. Falcons are done. They're done. Come on.
I'll lay it too. I don't want to. I want to take the Falcons. I'm not going to do it. I mean, the Buccaneers have to win this game, and I keep on harping on what I've said a few times in the podcast already. That these are teams that have to win. I mean, and they're battling for playoff position and things like that. I think the Bucs are in. They're not for sure in. So they have a lot of motivation. I'm going to go ahead and lay it with the Bucs -6 as well. The next game up on the board, the Detroit Lions are 5-8. They go down to Tennessee to play the 9-4 Titans. The Lions lost to Green Bay last week. There's a big question whether or not Matt Stafford's going to play. It's a huge line. The Tennessee Titans are -10.5. They did win in Jacksonville last week. Obviously not much of a test. Derrick Henry ran for over 200 yards. This is another team. They are on top of that AFC South, one game ahead of the Indianapolis Colts. But obviously they got to keep pace as well. I mean, it's Derrick Henry time. It's Derrick Henry weather. It's Derrick Henry time. What do you think?
Titans.
I'm going to lay the 10.5 too. We're laying some big numbers here.
Detroit can't stop Derrick Henry.
I don't think so. And
There's no way.
The reason it's not really Derrick Henry to me in this game. It's the fact that I don't know if Stafford's going to play in this game. And if Chase Daniel plays instead of Stafford, I mean, I think it's an absolute drubbing. So
That dude's made so much money as a backup quarterback in the NFL. It's not even funny.
Not like $1 million clipboard holder.
That's crazy. That dude's been around forever and he gets huge contracts.
You know the guy who had the best job in the NFL ever?
Who?
Jim Sorgi, who backed up Peyton Manning, who didn't miss a game.
Yeah.
Like 9 years holding a clipboard, making $1 million.
I don't know. Just Daniels, dude. He might have it now. I'm telling you, that dude, you look up his contracts, he's made some jack.
Yeah, I agree. We're both on the Titans minus 10.5. Dan, you got another one of those festive shirts on. I was just noticing as I was looking at you.
Dashing through the snow, baby.
Is that another Old Navy special?
Yeah.
My
Sale
gosh.
rack after Christmas, it was like $2.
My guy shops.
I'd look for the sales.
All right, fair enough.
Sale rack, clearance, that's it.
We were on the last Sunday 1 p.m. game. The Houston Texans are 4-9. They go to play the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts have the opposite record at 9-4. I just mentioned I thought they were a game behind. They're not. They're tied with the Titans as I look at the board. The Colts have been installed as a full touchdown favorite at -7. I watched the entire Chicago Bears-Houston Texan game last week, and they gave up. They were down big, but they gave up, which is a bad look for a football team. The Colts, they're coming off a win out in Las Vegas. Their offense looks great. They got kind of both these running backs going with Jonathan Taylor, the rookie out of Wisconsin, who we like, and it's Naeem Hines, I believe is his name. I mean, nightmare for fantasy owners because you don't know who's going to get the majority of the carries with Indianapolis, but they got both those guys going. T.Y. Hilton's back involved in that offense a lot. They're -7. This is a division game. Remember, it was only 2 weeks ago that they played in Houston, and Houston probably should have beat Indianapolis because they fumbled the ball on the 2-yard line. Remember that game? I don't know. The Colts are -7. Do you think they're going to cover this number?
That's a tough one. It's close, and this is one of those games where I think Houston might pull this one out.
When? Under the number?
They're going to come on under the number here. I think it's going to be a little closer. I don't know though. 7.
I'm going to go that way as well. I'm going to go Houston as well. They played such a tight game, but it bothers me that I watch a lot of football, and I can see when a team gives up. The Houston Texans gave up in the fourth quarter against the Chicago Bears. It happened.
Yeah, but they were getting pounded.
They were getting pounded. They checked out of that game, but that's just a bad sign. But and there's just not a lot around Deshaun Watson. But still, it's hard not to remember 2 weeks ago when this game probably should have went Houston's way. I'm taking the points with Houston.
I am too.
All right, fair enough. That was the end of the 1 o'clock slate on Sunday. The 4 p.m. slate starts with the Philadelphia Eagles, who are 4-8-1, not out of that NFC East. Nobody's out of the NFC East somehow, some way. They go out to Arizona. The Cardinals are 7-6. They are clinging to the last wild card spot in the NFC. This line is the Arizona Cardinals -6.5. The over/under on the game is 49.5. The Philadelphia Eagles are coming off a impressive win against the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, that was.
It was Hurts.
Yeah, shocking.
It was freaking Hurts. I've been harping for Hurts for weeks upon weeks. Finally,
rookie quarterback going against that defense. That defense is good.
He sparked up. You talking about the New Orleans defense?
Yeah,
I know. Speaking of that, I guess we'll talk about it now as opposed to the New Orleans segment of the game, which they come up and play a great game later on. We're going to talk about it in a minute, but the New Orleans Saints had not given up a 100-yard rusher in 55 games. They gave up 2 in that game. 1 to Hurts, 1 to Miles Sanders.
Yeah.
So, that was unbelievable what happened in Philadelphia. Cardinals are -6.5. Let's talk about the Cardinals. They won against the Giants, and we both liked the Giants in that game. It turned out they played Daniel Jones, and he was hurt, and we're going to talk about the Giants in a minute against your Browns.
I hope they play him again.
Right. And the defense came alive for the Arizona Cardinals, but most importantly, and I've been talking about it for probably the last 2 or 3 weeks, I'm not going to trust the Cardinals until I see Kyler Murray be healthy and run the ball. And he ran the ball. He had like 50 yards rushing in that game. He went out of the pocket. This is a tricky game to me. The Arizona Cardinals once again are favored by 6.5. I'm gonna take a pick based upon what I hope happens. I hope the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Arizona Cardinals or at least stay in this game. It would certainly help my Chicago Bears. I like them to keep this game close just because of Hurts. There's not a lot of tape on Hurts. He's got that one game and things like that. So I'm going to take the Eagles getting their points. I don't like them to necessarily come out of the desert with a win, but I like them to keep it close.
Cardinals.
Not the Cardinals.
Yeah. Touchdown. 6.5. I hate 6.5 though.
Hooks stink. Yeah. All right. Next game up, not a very good game. The New York Jets paper airplanes 0-13, coming off the blowout loss in Seattle. They go play the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are 9-4. They are tied for first place with the Seahawks in that NFC West. Like I said, the Jets coming off that blow-off loss in Seattle. There's not a good team.
Who made their schedule? They got to go west 2 weeks in a row. I hope they stayed out there.
Yeah, they may have. I don't know. I mean, that's a good point.
They were at Seattle, right, last week.
They were.
Now they're
maybe just dropped down. You're probably right. The Rams, they're coming off that Thursday night football. They're off a large rest. They got that extra 3 days of rest. They played on Thursday night where they absolutely drubbed the New England Patriots. I mean, they're a good football team. They got that running game going. It used to be a three-headed monster. They ran three different guys, and now, Cam Akers is kind of taking over that job. He's the rookie running back. They are going to be a tough out because that defense is good. If Goff plays well, this is a monster number. You see it?
It's huge. But
17 and a half.
I'm taking the Rams. There's no freaking way I'm picking the Jets.
I said I wouldn't do it again. I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to recant. I'm going to lay it as well. That's a monster number, as big a number you're going to see in the National Football League board. I think we might have seen a 19 or a 20 with the Jets.
Yeah, and I think you picked against.
I didn't pick against. It was like 2 weeks ago.
We're going to have to watch
I've taken the Jets once, and
I think
I won't do it again. We're both on the Rams minus that monster number of 2 touchdowns, a field goal, and another point. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, a lot. All right, great game coming up on the slate next. The end of the 4 p.m. games on Sunday. The Kansas City Chiefs, 12-1, newly minted as the number 1 seed in the AFC. They go to previously mentioned New Orleans. New Orleans is 10-3 on the year. The Chiefs are coming off that win in Miami. Like I said, they took over that 1 seed. They're not blowing people out, but
no, it's funny to watch them. They completely have control of the game. They have huge leads, and somehow the team they're playing squeaks back in, and you're like, wait, what happened?
It's like they're toying with teams.
Right.
It's like, okay, let's put on the accelerator. All right, let's take our foot off the accelerator. Oh, wait, they're kind of within 2 scores. Let's put the accelerator back on.
Yeah, we need to make this more interesting to keep our guys involved.
Can't do that in the playoffs. I guess you can. Remember that game against – was that against Houston a few years ago where they were down by like 28, like in the first quarter? And then they had to leave by halftime?
Yeah.
Remember that? That was nuts. The Chiefs are obviously a proven commodity in regards to their offense. The Saints are coming off a loss in Philadelphia. We mentioned they gave up 2 100-yard rushers last week, which is very uncharacteristic of that defense. The defense has been playing so well. The problem here is I don't think Hill is the question at quarterback, and we don't know when Drew Brees is going to come and play.
I'm taking the Chiefs on this one.
Me too. I love this line with the Chiefs on that fast track inside, the Superdome.
Yeah.
I love the Chiefs in this game. It's probably my favorite line on the board. I'm 100% laying the field goal with the Chiefs. That is the end of the day slate for Sunday. We got the Sunday night football game.
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go.
If you didn't notice, it's Dan's Cleveland Browns. They're 9-4. Apparently, has not lost his zest for the team after that very bitter loss on Monday night.
And I don't think any of our players shit their pants.
They go to play the New York Giants. The Giants are 5-8. They are 1 game back of that NFC East. The Browns are favored by 4 in this game. The over/under is 45.5. The Browns. It was a bitter defeat. They played. 6 played great. I mean, Mayfield played great to me.
The bad spot was that pick. I mean, and it should have been a pick 6, honestly. Would they get the ball on the 2-inch line? That was bad. I didn't like letting the Ravens score right before halftime. Come on, defense has got to bone up. Don't let them score a touchdown. And then that last touchdown, how the hell do you let the guy get behind you?
Yeah,
you're a freaking corner. Cover him. You don't come up and try tackling Lamar until he's across the line of scrimmage. Come on.
There were some breakdowns on defense for sure, and that was what cost the Browns the game, is that they couldn't control or stay in their lanes defensively on Lamar Jackson, especially after he changed his cleats. I was texting Dan. I'm like, dude, you're in trouble if Lamar Jackson actually decides to change his cleats, because he was slipping all over the field. Then they bring out these like enormous cleats, and he ran all over you guys.
Yeah.
But
hey, the other issue was cover 89, and they didn't do that on the last drive. Come on, that's their biggest weapon for Lamar.
89
That's a safety blanket, and he had 2 huge catches on that last drive.
89 is Mark Andrews, the star tight end for the Baltimore Ravens. The Browns are a great football team. They're in the playoffs. I think they're a scary football team still. The Giants, they're coming off a loss to Arizona. Daniel Jones wasn't healthy. They played him. I don't know if he's healthy now. I mean, they probably should have played Colt McCoy in that game because Daniel Jones' game is a large product of it is his ability to be elusive and run the ball, and he couldn't. And it showed up against Arizona. They sacked him like 7 times or something like that. I don't know. The Browns are -4 in this game. We talked a lot about playoff positioning and things like that. Both these teams have a ton to play for. Dan, it's your team. You take
Browns. Someone's going to hand Freddie Kitchens a ball.
I didn't think about that. Freddie Kitchens, the exiled.
Yeah. Hey, I don't know who's going to play in our defensive backfield, though. I'll tell you, our safety, that Zendejo, he got a concussion. He ain't going to play.
He's terrible to start with. That's better for you.
But come on, who are we going to play now?
Zendejo's terrible.
I don't know who we still have left.
Dude, I don't care. You go and play.
Come on. My fat ass can't cover anybody. I ripped my jeans getting into my Jeep. Come on.
Speaking of that, we have a little bit of weather here. We got a few inches of snow out here and things like that. And I text Dan last night. I'm like, you in for the podcast tomorrow with a little bit of weather coming? What was your response? I know what it is.
I own 3 Jeeps. I think I'm good.
Yes, that's exactly the response. He's obviously here. We're doing the show on Wednesday night. We're both on the Browns -4. That is Sunday Night Football. Monday Night Football game. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they go to play their in-division rival, if you will, the Cincinnati Bengals. Steelers 11-2. The Bengals are 2-10-1. Steelers are -12.5 in this game. The Steelers reeled off 11 in a row. Have lost 2 in a row now. They don't look very good to me right now.
They look terrible.
They're one-dimensional, as we mentioned last week. They can't seem to run the ball. And I hate to say it, Ben looked old to me against Buffalo.
He looks old. He can't move. The Ben Roethlisberger that used to stand in the pocket and just say, "Get off of me," to guys. That's not the dude we have anymore. He's trying to move and trying to avoid those hits.
I agree. I hate to say that Ben looked old in that game. He did. Speaking of Sunday Night Football, I'll talk about something fun. DirecTV is still in this pissing match with Tegna, which owns these local channels. And it's driving me crazy, although it's fairly entertaining. And it's been going on, like I said, for a little bit over 2 weeks now. The first Sunday Night Football game, well, I can watch the games on what's called NBC Universo, which is the Spanish-speaking channel.
Awesome, baby. Watched many soccer games on that channel.
I was just going to say, they get very excited. Spanish-speaking commentators get very excited. A couple weeks ago when the Chiefs were playing, it was like, Mahomes. They get very excited.
Yeah.
And last week, my favorite player that they were talking about was like, Drew. They add vowels like crazy to people's names. It's fantastic. I turned it off after a while. But in any event, that's part of that. The Bengals last week, they lost at home to Dallas. This is the first week that I saw them where they weren't competitive. I mean, they lost by a lot to the Cowboys, who were not a very good football team. The Steelers are -12.5 in this game. I think they get it back on track. I mean, Cincinnati's playing with their backup quarterback. They don't have any of the pieces. It's a division game, but I'm going to lay a 12.5 with the Steelers.
I'm going with the Steelers as well, even though I hate to say it.
I hear you. I mean, it's hard to pick the Bengals of what they put on the field right now.
They look bad.
All right, we talked about it earlier. We are going to, obviously it's a great week of football, college and pro, the conference championship games. We're going to pick all 3 of the college football games, much to the chagrin of my executive producer. He said, try to keep it under 30 minutes. I don't know what we're at right now. I think we're at 40. And we'll probably make it to maybe close to 45, 50. In any event, all right, the first game, the noon game for the Big Ten championship is the Northwestern Wildcats. They're playing OSU, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Northwestern is 14th ranked. The Buckeyes are 4th. This game gets played in Indianapolis. The line is the Buckeyes -21. They let the Buckeyes play this game, even though they've only played 5 games so far this year. I know who I'm picking in this game, but I'll let you go first.
Well, all due respect to Northwestern, I like Pat Fitzgerald. I think he's done a hell of a job, not only this year, but his whole time at Northwestern. I think he's a great coach because that team's always competitive.
He could be the coach of the Chicago Bears next year if we don't watch out.
Well, that being said, there's been a lot of negative talk about Ohio State, in the media. Why are they still up there? They only played 5 games, blah, 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 blah. I think they destroy Northwest on this game.
I agree.
And they're cover the 21.
I agree. And my reasoning is they need to impress the voters.
Exactly.
I mean, they don't have enough games on that they've played. They need to come out and thump Northwestern and say, yeah, we're one of the top 4 teams. I think they are one of the top 4 teams. We just don't have a big enough sample size. So
they're definitely better than the 6th team.
If they come out and put 50 up and things like that, I think they're a lock for the college football playoff top 4 teams. All right. The next game up is the ACC Championship. It's played at 4 p.m. It is at the home of the Carolina Panthers. Clemson is ranked 3. The Irish are ranked 2. Notre Dame. This is a repeat game. Probably the best college football game, certainly that I watched this year and in a long time in South Bend.
The repeat was even good.
This line to me, and I'm a homer, don't get me wrong, Clemson's favored by 10 in this game, and I don't get it. I mean, I know Trevor Lawrence didn't play in that game, but their freshman quarterback with the unpronounceable last name, is no slouch. He was pretty damn good.
Pretty damn good.
But Notre Dame, and you talked about it a few weeks ago, their offensive linemen, we lost 1 for the season, right?
The center's gone for the season. He had foot surgery, and they lost a guard. I don't know if he's back or not.
I don't know either. The calling card for the Irish is their ability to run the football and their awesome offensive linemen. The
pass protection too. I mean,
yes.
Now, and let's talk about that though. Clemson was missing that linebacker and I think a defensive lineman in that game.
They get both those guys back. I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure the linebackers.
Obviously,
back.
Clemson got Lawrence back. Maybe they got some players back. I don't buy this line at 10. I don't think the offensive line for Notre Dame gets pushed around. If they can run the ball, they can control the clock as well. I like the Irish under this number, getting the 10.
So do I.
All right, fair enough. The SEC Championship game. Number 1 ranked Alabama, Crimson Tide. They are 17-point favorites. Florida still gets in that game, even though they come off their loss to LSU, which is perplexing to say the least. They lost that game with the throw and shoot thing. In any event, the Crimson Tide are favored by 17 in this game. Do you expect this to be a good game, or do you expect them to blow them out?
They're going to kill him. I think no. We might be watching the NFL game.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. It's going up against it. I struggle with this game, and I like Florida to keep this game close in the first half, but I think Alabama's been putting up 40, 50 points on teams regularly.
Right.
Like week in, week out. I think they do it again to Florida. I'm on Bama minus 17. So Dan and I both gave the points. OSU, Bama would take the points on Notre Dame. I think that is all of the games. Dan's going to be over here. Maybe we should go live on Saturday for another edition of On Top of the Cage. We'll show the commercial griddle.
Cooking edition.
Yeah, the cooking edition. Dan's game day grates or grill or something like that we'll call it. In any event, that has been week 15 of On Top of the Cage. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.